What's the most ridiculous thing you've heard a parent say when fighting for custody in court? My ex. He actually tried to get full custody of our daughters. One was almost 18 and one was almost 16. He shared an apartment with 5 other men all in their 40s. The only space my ex had that was his own was his bedroom. Living room, kitchen, bathroom was all shared space. He thought that by getting custody he would get child support and alimony from me. I however had an apartment for just me and the kids. They each had their own rooms and no one else lived with us. He tried asking the court for a home study to decide who the kids should live with. My daughter spoke with my lawyer, who in turn spoke with his lawyer. His lawyer finally convinced him it wouldn't go well to pursue that in court. He would lose and then have to pay the cost of the home study. I got the kids, the dogs, the tools, and by time my ex finished dragging the whole thing out, my oldest was over 18 and no longer part of the custody agreement. I might add that I specifically worded the custody arrangement. There were no set days he got to see my youngest. It was at her discretion if she wanted to spend time with him, talk to him, or have any contact with him. She didn't and hasn't to this day, almost 10 years later. He was, and still is, a violent, mean drug addict who has never admitted to having a problem, has never held a job, except for one time, for longer than 3 months. The one time he did, I drove him to work every day and picked him up after. He hung on to it for a year. He will lie, cheat, and steal to feed his habit. Once he called his mother, gave her this BS story about how he and his new girlfriend had moved to Florida. They had, and all he needed was my youngest social security number, and Florida welfare would send her a check every month. She actually had the nerve to call and ask for the number. My daughter was smart enough not to give it to her. Florida wasn't going to send a check to NJ. He was trying to claim that my daughter lived with him in Florida to scam welfare. I called Florida the very next day. I sent a copy of the divorce decree and gave them my ex's name and social security number. I knew it because I always filled out any paperwork for us, including tax returns, and told them in no uncertain terms that none of my children lived with him in that state and he did not have the legal right to any benefits for them. The damage he could have done with that number.